we finished our uh, tribute to Michael K. Williams already. We're winding up the hour with some street smarts, and then we're going to talk about housekeeping. As I mentioned at the top of the show, um, we when we crossed 1 million subscribers, we had to also make some changes in the nature of the things that we put up. We just can't recklessly put up old movies that belong to other people without repercussion. Right. So as a result, for the last, I'd say, 2 months or so, Charles, we've been mining the vaults of the, like, and showing Mantan Mondays, Amos and Andy's, and older cartoons that are in the public domain. Now that's gotten that's drawn in a new audience for us, but it's also created a sense of backlash. Like, wait, you're supposed to be real black. You're supposed to be empowering us, but you're showing us all these negative images, Rama of the Jungle and things like that. So we just wanted to take some time to clarify what the intention of the channel is and how these choices are relating to the brand. So, Charles, did you have any thoughts?
Well, the thing is, I was born in 48. When I grew up, television was the thing. When we did the film Savages, Servants, and Specialty Acts, what I wanted to reveal in this documentary we did, Mike, is how my growing up, I didn't realize that I was being colonized, brainwashed to see that anyone who looked like me, we were inferior. We were otherized. We were inferiorized. The media is about white supremacy. And so these images, yes, Amos and Andy employs a lot of the stereotypical humor that you would find in I Love Lucy, The Honeymooners, Sergeant Bilko. He was a character much like Kingfish. I loved Amos and Andy. I loved Rama of the Jungle. But I didn't know as a kid, not seeing all the Westerns I watched and not seeing any black Western heroes, I grew up thinking there were no black Western heroes. I grew up thinking that there were no doctors and lawyers, and that the only things blacks could do based on television watching was clean someone's house. And so showing these things is, as I said to one of the viewers through written communication, it's not to promote this racism, but it's to use our platform as a way of documenting it, to show it empirically how this racism existed in the media, and then through discussion to show you how it was purposed, it was intentional, and what the whole modus operandi was. It's to otherize us, to inferiorize us, to subject us to injurious representation. What we get in the media is not the real black, R-E-A-L, but it's the real black, R-E-E-L, a representation of not who we are, but how people who run this system want us to be seen. Case in point, we put up Let's Go Collegiate with Mantan Moreland. He sings a song with his girlfriend. The lyrics are different than the same song that's being sung by a white couple. If you go back and listen to the lyrics, when the black couple is singing the song, one of the things Mantan says is, I would love a well-behaved pair of dice. That's a stereotype. There were opportunities they would take to mock blackness in that same film. Mantan Moreland's character is serving drinks. This white guy says, pour me one. Midnight. That's mocking blackness. To the credit of the studio, although they allowed that in there, something Mantan did that was really done by a black character who was called out of his name. Mantan says to this white character, the name is Jeff. That showed some progress. Mantan, in working for Monogram Pictures, he grew to have a lot of progressive imagery in those films, although he was still a servant. He played in a servant role. One quick point. There's a thing called social etiquette. What I call racial difference invokes racial deference. If you notice, as old as Mantan is, whenever he played with Frankie Darro, the white boy, no matter how much younger Frankie Darro is, Mantan's character always had to refer to him as Mr. Frankie. Mr. Couldn't have it without that. That's that reverence. Boss, yes, a boss, yes, a master. When Mantan did the Charlie Chan series, when Charlie Chan would have his number one son or number two son, here's a trick. Mantan called the Asian boys, he didn't use Mr.
Mm-hmm.
That says a lot. If we don't show this stuff, if people don't watch this stuff, that's their right. But you can't study something, you can't learn to judge something if you haven't seen enough of it to see where the people who produce this stuff, where they're coming from. Propaganda, in order to communicate a message, the way you get a message across is through repetition over and over again. It creates a mindset. That's what the media does. That's what we're showing.
Well, here's a question from Spider-Man 7285. He's been with us the whole hour. If you're going to show these shows, could you add commentary or have a video critique for a sense of context? I think we generally respond to the comments, and we pin comments that are most related to the critique. That's how we've chosen to do it so far. But I mean, do you think we can do a better job, Charles, in terms of giving people historical context for these types of films, especially the cartoons? The Scrubby Mama, that has millions of views, and people take it for what it is. But it's interesting to have a discussion about this.
That's the whole purpose of the mini lessons. To give nuance and context, historical background, and to show you how these things were used. These stereotypes were employed in these films, and so that I'll give you an example. There are a lot of people who are upset, and rightfully so, at a lot of this imagery, especially in these 30s and 40s and 20s movies. But if they don't study it, they can't see that the same thing is being projected in the films we get today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of the few people to tell you I have issues with Black Panther. I have issues with Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee. I get in fights all the time. I say, show me one positive black man in Do the Right Thing. Even there's a character who yells at the mayor, played by Ozzie Davis. And he says to him, that's why they call you the mayor, DA, the mayor, because DA stands for drunk ass. Ruby Dee's character, along with Spike Lee's sister, who are they talking about? They're talking about the mayor, how he's just like so many other black men, a waste. The um, the guy playing his music loud, he gets killed. That whole scene where he's killed by the police, does it relate to real life incidents? Yes, but it serves another purpose from my perspective. It's a deflection to take you away from the defection of so many of the characters in the movie. You get caught up in what happened to what they call the character,
Radio Raheem.
Radio Raheem. You get so caught up in how that relates to realism, and everyone's caught up in that they forget Spike Lee's character. When the guy throws him the money, he picks it up. Bugging out started everything. They had one character, I won't use the word they used to use years ago, but he's slow with it. He's selling, do you want to buy the cards? This is their way. Once again, Spike Lee employs something that Mantan Moreland was known for. Humor, comedy. You can't get many films made today if they're not injecting comedy in these films. Your three biggest stars in Hollywood film come from three basic arenas: sport, comedy, and what's the other one?
Music.
Music. Okay? Look at your stars. Look at the movies that get made, what I call the BOATs, the BOATS, based on a true story. They're about musicians. Because from the time they were making films in the 20s, the early 1900s, they felt the one key ingredient you had to have in these movies, or one or two key ingredients in these movies for black people to go see them, you had to have comedy and music. Still to this day. Because what happens is the people who control the media, they manufacture what people think they like, want to like, get to like. It's all manufactured. It's all BS. Because what they're doing is they call it entertainment. But I say it's not entertainment the way you want to see it, the way you believe it is. It's enter-apostrophe-tainment. It's entering you into a world of detainment, containment, where you're being controlled.
Well, now wait a second now, Charles.
Huh?
Hang on. Got to be devil's advocate here. This could be a loaded question, so bear with me. But hasn't it changed? Hasn't it in the last couple of years? We're seeing more content with black people in it. We're seeing more filmmakers of color getting to tell our own stories. You know, how could this possibly persist if we're now in control, or are we in control?
Mike, look at the word control.
Okay.
What we're getting is a control job. What you see, what you think you see, is not what you're getting. If the people are making these movies are black, Well, damn. You know, I told you I have a T-shirt I had made up. Who was the first Supreme Court justice, black Supreme Court justice?
Thurgood.
Thurgood. Who was the second one? No good.
Good timing.
Black is a color. Not everyone that calls himself black, you can't. John Henry Clark says, black. What's that mean? Consciousness. They use the word today, woke. Woke, 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 woke. What's that mean? I'll tell you this, and I'll end it with this.
Okay.
What the black artists are allowed to do is inject some progressive, balanced imagery. What they're not allowed to do, if they want to continue in the business, since they're taking somebody's money, he who controls the goal controls the tune, controls the message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the golden rule. He who has the goal makes the rule.
The golden rule. If you're taking somebody's money, you're going to play by their rules. You study these films. These films do not attack the system. They do not question the system. They endorse it.
So let's bring it full circle then. Michael K. Williams, his array of characters that he portrayed seemed to give voice to a certain type of black character or person, represented the pain of black people, the the characters that you normally wouldn't see. I mean, how does his body of work, in your estimation, relate to this concept that you're saying? I mean, was he challenging the system? Was he shedding light to characters that we ordinarily wouldn't see? And again, like we were saying before, he used his celebrity to raise awareness about the injustices. So what are your thoughts there? I mean, maybe it wasn't as groundbreaking as doing Tucson Louverture or something like that, but at the end of the day, what does his body of work stand for in your estimation, Michael K. Williams?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head. What are the kind of characters Michael Kenneth Williams is played? Did he play Tucson Louverture?
No.
Okay. Did we get Tucson Louverture?
No.
The closest we got to Tucson Louverture in the film, 1952, Lydia Bailey.
Right.
And that part was so watered down that the hero of the film was played by Dale Robinson. You had even William Marshall. He said, I didn't even like the character's name they gave me, King Dick, which was based on a stereotype of black sexuality. And if they're going to have a revolution, it's not here in America. It's not a revolution against the atrocities, the indignities blacks have to face here. They give you what is called historical distance. They show you these revolutions happening in the Caribbean and Africa. They're not going to touch here.
Well,
LeBron James.
Lovecraft.
Is Lovecraft being renewed?
Touche.
If LeBron James says something they don't like, what's the response? shut the hell up and just dribble.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan didn't want to go see George Bush. Next thing you know, Michael Jordan is having all kind of problems. Issues with gambling came up. His father's death. What they do is the same thing they did to Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
You play the game or you out of it. Denzel Washington, who I love, he's not going to bite the hand that feeds him. When he goes on the tours, he'll take offense if someone says, well, what about this? What about that? And he'll say, well, black folks need to get their act together. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
not enough black fathers in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And if he makes a decent film, like The Great Debaters, I like what he did with The Equalizer, and they had issues with that.
Mm-hmm.
But The Great Debaters, how many people went to see that? And he spoke about Willie Lynch in that film. But that they'll give him that what they call these vanity films. But the thing is, how come these films don't get critical acclaim? How come that film, Great Debaters, didn't get the critical acclaim like the one he got when he got the Oscar? How many people talked about that?
Right.
Malcolm X. Malcolm X was a joke. That was
Why'd
a
you say that?
joke.
I love Malcolm
Huh?
X. The Malcolm X movie by Spike Lee is great.
If you look at the coded Tricknology, what was being sold is not the Malcolm X who was the firebrand. Malcolm X was worthy, as I said before, of a biographical film because he was no longer saying anything negative against white people.
Mm-hmm.
And hear me clearly, the issue is not with all white people. The issue is with the people who run this country. One of the things in Willie Lynch that very few people talk about, they talk about Willie Lynch said to make a slave, to control a slave, to keep a slave, you have to exacerbate the differences. You have to have the light against the dark, the old against the young. You have to make uh, the plantation that these blacks are slaves on. You have to have that sense of my plantation is better than the plantation you work on. You have to have male against female. But there's a key in there that very few people talk about. That's language. And he spoke about make sure your slaves don't learn your language. And as I told you in a private conversation, my feeling is that language and the fact that we don't speak the same language, we don't define our terms before we get into a debate, which because we didn't define our terms, we don't get into a debate, we get into a heated argument. That comes from the Bible. The Bible, the Tower of Babel, because everyone spoke the same language, they were of the same mind. They could gather together and do things together. The gods, it tells you about that in the first book, the Genesis, tells you because they spoke the same language, they had a power. They were united. And that being united caused them to have power. There was only one way to dissipate that power. And the way the gods chose to kill that power was to confuse the language. These are the things that you see when you look, when you learn how to see what you're looking at. You know, when they teach kids how to read, you see a lot of parents, my little Johnny can read. Well, being able to pronounce words that you've learned how to pronounce phonetically, that's not reading. That's only a part of reading. You sound the words out, but you got to know the meaning of the words. Kids don't even learn the 8 parts of speech. They don't even know what that means anymore. To learn the language, to get that education, that's what's missing. That's why I love to get these kids young, not to tell them what to think, but to teach them how to think.
A question before thank you for that. That was great. So before we wind it up, just we've spoken on this before, but just for Donnie's sake, what was wrong with Black Panther in your estimation? I mean, for those who haven't seen Savage's Servants and Special Acts, what was wrong with Black Panther's question? And if anybody has any other questions for Charles, now's the time to either join the conversation on StreamYard or just type in your question now, because we're going to be winding it up.
Well, first of all, if I speak out and say I found issues with Black Panther, a lot of people are going to take issue with me because they think I'm attacking them for liking Black Panther. I liked Black Panther. When I first saw it, the thing that blew my mind was the look of the women, the Black women, and how in their Blackness, they were beautiful. But what happened is you had this idealistic African nation. We had this community, togetherness that was by Killmonger's character. He said, we're going to do things differently. Next thing you know, you had Black men fighting Black women. At the end, the thing that made the country unique, they want to give that away. And they want to work in alliance with the CIA. The CIA and FBI have been toppling countries in South America, Africa for years. And then you're going to have a picture that endorses these people?
And yeah, also after the credits, you had the white man coming out of the Black woman's tent. She that bothered a lot of people, that image.
Okay, here's the other thing. You don't give away your power. They gave away their power. We rejected Louise Beaver's character in 1934 when she gave away her recipe to the white woman. And with all the riches that accrued from her pancake recipe, she didn't want any of the money. She just wanted to take care of the white family. So in 1934, you upset. Black Panther is what? 2009?
Something like that, yeah.
17,
later,
right?
Later, yeah.
2017? Around, not too long ago.
Right. And same story.
You're not, huh?
Same song. Not?
Same old song. But no one see. It's deflection to take you away from seeing the defection. It's prestidigitation, the old magic trick. Sleight of hand. Make you think you're getting something when you're not. As I told you before, the media is propaganda. All art is propaganda. It's been weaponized. And art, as someone said, of all the arts, the most important is the motion pictures. Well, just look, when you talk about weapons, one of the things you need when you have weapons is artillery. First three letters in artillery is ART.
Deep. Okay. Well, oh wait, you have GJ on the line, but he's not showing his face. Do you want to take the call, Charles?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what happens. Hey, GJ. Hey, GJ, can you hear us? Okay. Tried. What can I say?
Is
Charles,
there a way he could type in what he wanted to say?
well, we'll give it a minute. Any questions? Oh, did you see Drop Squad? It's been a minute. I haven't watched it yet. I had the DVD the last live stream. I said I was going to watch it. I haven't watched it yet. But it's Drop Squad is great as far as the idea. Do you remember that one, Charles?
It's
They're
been a
gonna
while, but
put a drop on all the non-woke people.
yeah,
I believe the director's cut is on YouTube still. The
yeah,
director was like,
but the whole thing is that's that
or the
it's
student film it was based on, rather.
yeah. Let me tell you, I'm not dismissing all films. As I say, they'll give us something. Blaxploitation, as I said before, blaxploitation. They want to throw it all out. They want to throw Amos Andy all out. I was the only one years ago debated why I liked Amos and Andy, and when we look at the response to Amos and Andy, a lot of people say, "Oh, why they say this was racist?"
Mm-hmm.
Everything you have to contextualize it. We need humor in our lives. Mantan Moreland, I showed you something the other day. I said, man, we need some of this. Mantan Moreland was a master of timing, comedic timing. If you study humor, Abbott and Costello's, I believe it was a white viewer, addressed how he felt that there was nothing different. There is a difference. The difference is this. When they show us in films doing our thing, that's the only thing they showed us do. If you saw I Love Lucy, you didn't come to the conclusion that all white folks were like I Love Lucy or the Honeymooners. We never had what was called the balance. It was always one same old look at us. That repetition I spoke about earlier. Same thing over and over again. The dice, the shooting the dice, the eating the chicken, the eating the watermelon. And I'm going to show all of that. Not to promote it, but if you want to fly, the Wright brothers, I'm quite sure they had to study birds. You study things that can fly. If you want to know about stereotypes, if you want to know about negative propaganda, what was as far as negative black stereotypes, what negrophobia, if you want to know what it is, you have to see how it was used. People loved the Our Gang series, but that thing was replete with negative black stereotypes. We'll show one clip. I call one of the black characters in one of the episodes of Our Gang a walking black stereotype. We'll put that up soon. Rather
Okay.
than dismiss this stuff and come out and angrily say, why are they showing this? Why are they showing? Take a look at it. And then we get the time when we do the mini lessons, support it. Take a gander. We keep asking for your questions because I'll tell you one thing I've said often, over and over again. I love hearing from the voices of the viewers because I've learned so much from the smart viewers we have. It's not just what's in here, because what's in here had to go through this or this first. When you look at the word learn, Spell learn, Mike.
Learn.
Learn.
Yes.
What's that thing in the word learn?
Ear.
Ear. Listen, pay attention.
We have a question here, and then I want to show you some recent acquisitions here. This is just a random. Do you recall a BO in a movie early 70s playing a pilot? Do you recall BO? I'm not sure what BO stands for. Nichelle. I don't know if he's still there. What's BO mean? He's still there, but would you recall BO in a movie early 70s playing a pilot?
Well,
Well,
BO is that the initials from
you
a
know,
for
waiting for Nichelle to say something. Barack Obama. He's in a movie? That's random. In the early 70s, he would have been a teen or a young kid, not even 12. Early 70s. He might be 10 or 15 years old in the early 70s, Barack Obama. So I'm not sure if he'd be flying a plane. Let me share some recent acquisitions. We talk about this all the time. I've shown this before. This Marlon Riggs box set. Did you get this one yet, Charles?
Yeah, I ordered that because I love his documentaries.
Yeah, he's got one called Color Adjustment, which is about blacks in television, which is exceptional, and then one called Ethnic Notions,
Yes.
which deals with the
what we've talked about.
what we're talking about today. So that's why I pulled
Mm-hmm.
it out. So double disc set from Criterion, and also from Criterion. They're putting a lot of stuff out. Loving Basketball is getting a Criterion reissue, and at the end of October they're doing a Melvin Van Peebles box set. But out right now is Deep Cover, Bill Duke movie, and it's I think this is the first time on Blu-ray.
Bill
It also
Duke,
has
by the way, he loved doing gangster
yes,
movies. Yeah.
it's a classic, Undercover Cop, Snoop Dogg song, 187 on the Undercover Cop. And it's does it have reversible art? It does not. Shame on you, Criterion. You just have one artwork on that. And then we're gonna have Aaron Fuchs on soon, but we'll give him a plug. I haven't listened to this yet. Tough City Records, our friends at Tough City sent this over. It's the 33 and third anniversary box set of Tough City Records. It's got the first half of their 80s hits, 1982, 86 classic stuff on vinyl. You can also listen to these recordings on Spotify and Amazon Music. And the thing, I'm a big Richard Pryor fan. You know that, right, Charles?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd do anything Richard Pryor, even if I already have it. It gets exciting for me. So this is the third reissue of Richard Pryor's concert films, and it comes from Time Life. It's 12 disc set, I think, something like that. And this is the bonus. That's a bonus disc. This is available by itself for like $12 or someplace $15. But it's 6 DVDs. I'm trying to frame this up. So each one of these is 6 DVDs. One set has all of his concert films and all of the episodes of the Richard Pryor show, including the pilot, the Richard Pryor special on here, as well as a documentary about the making of Uncle Tom's Fairy Tales, which is a lost film. It's a film I didn't know this until I saw the documentary. Apparently, he spent 2 years making a film with some UCLA film students, including Penelope Spheris, who went on to do like big movies like Wayne's World in the later in the 80s, 90s, or whatever. Um, so they talked to Penelope Spheris about the making of this film, Uncle Tom's Fairy Tales, and it came from a very angry place. They spent 2 years making it. She showed it to him once on a moviola, and then he destroyed the film. So what they have now are outtakes they found in a storage area. The footage that wasn't used, and she basically recreates the movie for you, tells you what the story was about. The second disc has all of his a lot of his Johnny Carson appearances, Dick Cavett show appearance, which is on YouTube, and the documentary Omit the Logic, which was available, and the movie JoJo Dancer, Your Life is Calling. But the one thing I'm still trying to find, if anybody has it, is the making of JoJo Dancer. It's a documentary that Roy Campanella Jr. did, and that's sort of a holy grail for me personally. But and it comes with a booklet, which left and right. Comes with a booklet. It's a nice set. It's not and it has stand-up routines from when he and tributes from after he caught MS. So if you're a Richard Pryor fan like me, I highly recommend it, even though there's a lot of duplicate stuff on there. Bustin' Loose. Somebody answered that for you. Yeah, JoJo Dancer, all that stuff.
Bustin' Loose.
Yeah. Yeah, Tiffany answered that one.
Yeah. What's his name was one of the producers of that? The black documentarian.
Oh, William Greaves.
William Greaves.
Yeah, he's got a Criterion thing. So,
and you had two different directors on that.
Yeah, Melvin Van Peebles got kicked off it, and I should have asked him why when I had the chance. But we can always talk to Michael Schultz to find out what that was about. But Michael Schultz took over on Bustin' Loose for Melvin Van Peebles.
One of
oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Wait, I got that mixed up. No. Oz Scott. Yeah, Bustin' Loose. I'm sorry. I'm thinking Greased Lightning. Michael Schultz took over. I'm correcting myself. So Melvin Van Peebles was the original. I don't
remember.
Melvin Van Peebles, the original director, and Michael Schultz took over on Greased Lightning.
But I just want to add another thing on that film. One of the rare movie features in which Cicely Tyson was a romantic lead.
Yes. Yes. The late great Cicely Tyson. 2021's proven to be a horrible year when it comes to celebrities passing on. I mean, so we lost so many people this year. But Michael
I just want to add one other.
You froze. Just wait. When you come back, repeat. Okay. All right, you're back. You're back.
They wanted to stop me. They didn't want me to say it, but
they don't want you to say it. You're back.
It's the fact that if what I call the noble savage black, the exceptional black, the good, and I don't like this word, but the good nigga versus the bad nigga. Sidney Poitier did a film. His first major film was 1950, No Way Out.
Mm-hmm.
He's the doctor. They have a riot break out. The bad black guy in that is Lefty, played by Dots Johnson. Lefty say, hey, they want war. they're going to get a war. I got this scar from the last time they caused a riot. I lost my sister. She's in a wheelchair. They're going to get war. Sidney Poitier's going, no. Turn the other cheek. Bah, 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 bah. Who gets killed in that movie? Lefty. Who is the black man they want us to be? To go along to get along. You know, one of the things that was the criticism leveled against Sidney was that he was the co-opted black man. He was the ebony saint. But my point is this. We're not going to get images of film. Toussaint Louverture, okay. Nat Turner, okay. But modern day men and women who are rallying to fight this system, those stories, they don't get told. They don't have movies where people are exposing the system for what it is. How many black senators have we had in the history of the United States Senate? How come the same politicians keep getting elected?
Mm-hmm.
All of this is part of systemic racism about the system. It's not just holding blacks down. It's about holding classes of people down where people who have so much in common, black or white, they're fighting each other. It's the strategy, the oldest strategy in the world, Mike. Divide and conquer. That's what Willie Lynch was all about. The strategy of divide and conquer. Right. Keep these people at each other's throat. That's what Black Panther had. All the people who wanted to use that one thing that was unique to their country, to use it to empower them to change things, they were made to look like bad guys. The very first one to get killed was the uncle. If you remember in Black Panther.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Well, the uncle, it starts off with the death of the father, but that was in Captain America, right?
Well, even in the death of the father, when Black Panther went after the guy who killed him, once again, he's talking, you know, he didn't get the revenge. You remember in Black Panther, the actor from Get Out, he was upset because Panther didn't do what Killmonger did. Killmonger brought back the head of the guy who killed his father.
Mm.